First Take ended up getting a little feisty, if you will. It wasn't necessarily crazy, but
Stephen A. Smith stirred up major backlash in the WNBA world when he weighed in on Olivia Miles choosing to stay in college. His take? Miles will make more from NIL deals than Caitlin Clark's $76,000 rookie salary. That single comparison lit a fire. What started as commentary turned First Take into a heated debate, with WNBA players and fans pushing back hard.
But they were getting a little back and forth going about the CBA and Olivia Miles not actually declaring to go into the WNBA just yet.
A female co-host pushed for bringing in a woman to explain why WNBA versus NBA salary comparisons missed the mark. Stephen A. countered with revenue numbers, while Shannon Sharpe cautioned against striking without leverage. In the end, the debate revealed just how complex the financial landscape of women's basketball really is, far deeper than most fans realize.
Olivia Miles, let's understand what's going on. This is about money, Janae. Now, she had a career year averaging over 15 points, shoot 48% from the field and all this other stuff. We got to look at two things. We got to look at the money that Shannon brought up in NIL compared to what's existing in the WNBA.
Stephen A. Smith lit up First Take by revealing why Olivia Miles is staying in college: money. With NIL deals, she's earning more than the WNBA's $76,000 rookie salary. For anyone assuming top women's players cash in big as pros, this was a wake-up call.
Caitlin Clark last year made $76,535 in the first year of her contract.
Wait, say that again. How much?
$76,535. Obviously, she made considerably more off the court. This is on the court, her WNBA obligation.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is earning $76,000 as a rookie, about what a new grad might make in a major city. Meanwhile, college players with strong NIL deals are pulling six figures. For top talent, staying in school can actually be the better financial move.
And we also got to look at Notre Dame and what's going on there that you can't get what you want from that school, from that institution. What's the problem there? You're producing for them. You're a commodity and an asset to them. Why do you have to entertain departing for another school or the WNBA when you consider what Notre Dame has the ability to offer?
Stephen A. called it a smart move. Olivia Miles stays in school, builds her brand, and cashes in on NIL deals that outpace rookie WNBA salaries. With the league's CBA up for change in 2025, waiting until 2026 to go pro could set her up for a much better financial future.
WNBA Players Association chose to opt out of their current collective bargaining agreement at the end of the 2025 season. Lottery picks in 2025 will make $78,831 in their first season, $348,198 over the course of their 4-year deal.
Imagine being a rookie in Los Angeles, trying to stretch $78,300. After taxes, rent, and essentials, there's barely anything left. Some WNBA players take off-season jobs just to stay afloat. That's why veterans are signing one-year deals, betting the 2026 CBA will finally bring real money. It's a gamble. Short-term risk for long-term payoff.
Exponentially more dollars projected to be available to her. So she could, as Shannon pointed out, be looking to go back to college with an NIL deal that's going to get her more money, wait to go into the WNBA draft, and position herself to sign for exponentially more than she would be able to if she entered this WNBA draft.
Olivia Miles is opting to maximize her NIL earnings in college, then enter the WNBA when the financial landscape improves. This strategy lets her build her brand now and potentially earn more later under a new CBA. It underscores a troubling reality. Top female athletes often make more in college than as pros. While NBA rookies get life-changing contracts, WNBA rookies sometimes struggle to make ends meet. Stephen A. Smith's comments bring this financial gap into the spotlight, fueling debates about the future of the WNBA.
I'd like to know the comparison between the NBA, what they're bringing in, and the players.
Let me tell you why the
percentage versus the WNBA, the league's taking in.
Let me tell y'all why.
The situation on First Take hit a boiling point when one co-host demanded a comparison between WNBA and NBA salaries, pushing for an explanation on why WNBA players deserve NBA-level pay. The tension in the studio was thick as the debate escalated, with Stephen A. Smith visibly frustrated, yet trying to keep his cool. Then he dropped a financial reality bomb that stunned everyone, exposing the stark contrast between the two leagues and leaving the entire panel to process the economic gap.
Hold on, Jenna, I'm going to come to you. Let me tell y'all why y'all need to stop that. We're going to be honest on this show.
Why?
The fact of the matter is,
Yes.
stop comparing yourself to the NBA because the NBA makes exponentially more. So because it was a combination of two things. Number one is the money that they make, and number two is the position that you're in from a collective bargaining perspective to ask yourself how much credit do you deserve.
Stephen A. Smith called the comparison unfair, revealing that the WNBA lost $40 million last year. He compared it to a ship sinking despite projecting growth. This sobering reality shifted the conversation, highlighting the league's financial struggles.
The product for the WNBA has been fabulous. It's been absolutely outstanding. I'm not trying to compromise or throw any shade on that whatsoever. But for years, what the WNBA has proclaimed is that there's a lot of things that we were doing that was losing us money. And so now that we're making a little bit of money, all of a sudden, we're not going to be in a position as of yet to give you that. That's not an argument I'm buying. The WNBA players deserve their dollars. They need to go and get it. But until you do, there's going to be more Olivia Miles.
The female co-host pushed back, creating tension in the studio. Stephen A. revealed the financial structure of women's basketball, exposing a system that most casual fans aren't fully aware of.
Now, although they didn't negotiate that, they still get 9.3% of revenue of everything that comes into the league. But the problem with that is, out of the 100% of revenue that comes to the WNBA, 42% of that is shared with the NBA. They're not their own entity like that. They're really attached to the NBA. So 42% goes to the NBA, and then 15.8%, if I'm not mistaken, goes to individual investors that actually help the league survive as well during a tough time. It's just two entirely different situations.
Did you know 42% of WNBA revenue goes directly to the NBA? When you buy tickets to see teams like the Aces or Liberty, nearly half that money doesn't stay in the women's league. Another 15% goes to private investors who help keep the league running. In total, 57% of all revenue disappears before it reaches player salaries or league growth. How can the league thrive when so much of the money vanishes?
And although they have it set up to where if the team or the organization don't make a profit, they still get their share of the revenue, they're making a profit. So you can't really ignore that part. They made 11.4, 11.3 billion last year in the positives, okay? Whereas to the WNBA lost 40 million. The league and the owners, they're gonna use this type of information against them to not give them certain things or give them exactly what they want.
The WNBA faces severe financial hurdles, with 42% of its revenue going to the NBA and 15% to private investors, leaving only 43% for player salaries and operations. Despite solid viewership and packed arenas, its financial model struggles to ensure profitability. Unlike the NBA, WNBA players don't get guaranteed revenue shares, making this a difficult reality for the league. The segment on First Take was a revealing moment for viewers, shedding light on uncomfortable truths.
I do think they're going to get money. I think they're going to get a raise. I think they're going to see facilities and more staff members. I think they'll be taken care of better, but they're not going to see exactly everything that they're asking for.
This conversation underscores the core issue. The WNBA's financial structure is hindering its ability to fairly compensate players. Despite growing popularity, the league's dependence on the NBA and private investors means that the majority of its revenue doesn't stay within the women's league. Until the WNBA reworks its revenue-sharing model and gains financial independence, players will continue facing challenges in securing fair pay.
Yeah, first of all, Stephen A., money matters, and I totally understand that, but it's not everything when it comes to players' decision-making. And when you're talking about Notre Dame, why would they not be able to retain Olivia Miles? A lot of it is a basketball argument. She wants to go and be a primary option, and she can also make money elsewhere. So it's a two-part type of answer, not just, oh, they should be able to throw as much money and cash at her so she stays. That's not how it works.
The debate intensified when a female panelist suggested WNBA players should focus on the league's growth, like ratings and attendance, rather than the financial losses. This left the panel in shock, as it disregarded the league's ongoing profitability issues, instead emphasizing its cultural significance and visibility.
It's not.
When you're negotiating?
Yeah, when they're negotiating, they're looking at the revenue metrics, they're looking at the viewership, they're looking at the attendance, they're looking at the merchandising, and they want to collaborate with the league. And the reason why I know this is I used to be on the WNBA Players Association, and my sister's the president.
Demanding higher pay based solely on rising popularity would lead to a standoff. Owners would counter with financial losses, making a fair agreement difficult.
While I was in the league.
No, I'm saying, really, you've been a part of the negotiation where somebody just said to you, you're absolutely right, we think you deserve what you're asking for?
No. It's a give and take. We all know that. But what I'm saying is the argument saying that, revenue is a goal, but it's not the only thing. Like there are what we used to call them are buckets. There are buckets where we try to help, players' well-being while they're playing. We've already seen advances when it comes to charters. We've already seen advances when it comes to facilities. So the standard keeps going up and up, but we're not just saying salary is the only thing that moves us forward.
A strike could be a game changer, testing the WNBA's recent gains in popularity. It would force fans and partners to evaluate how much they value the product, potentially shifting the power dynamic.
Yeah, I hope they don't strike. Shanae, I hope you guys continue on this momentum. The last thing you guys need to do is to not to strike and have this WNBA, because I'm afraid if they leave, they might not come back, Shanae. So hopefully you guys can get something worked out. Hopefully you guys can get something worked out. I hope you guys can get something worked out that's satisfactory, because in the negotiations, Stephen, you know how this works, and you and I have been in a lot of them. Hey, everybody got to feel like they've been had. Right. Because if you don't, you're going to become resentful. If you feel that you've given up more, you're going to become resentful, and that's the last thing you want, considering that this deal's probably going to be, Shanae, I'm assuming, somewhere between 5 and 10 years, because you want that kind of prosperity and not have to worry about this every 2 to 3 years.
I'm not saying that it shouldn't be the same amount for the WNBA. I'm saying that the WNBA, at least reportedly, would try to make the argument that they're not making as much money as people realize, and there were sacrifices that they had to endure over the years that the NBA wouldn't dare try to argue at this particular moment in time. So because of that, that would be a negotiation tactic on their part. But Janae is saying that's not a negotiation tactic that they would try. And I'm saying we shall see, because anytime it comes to negotiation, people try to get over.